Hello everyone, welcome to Online Study for You, a complete placement solution. We've been receiving a lot of inquiries and a request from all of you to prepare a video on psychometric assessments. So here we are guiding you through the process. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also do download any of the courses that you want in order to crack your competitive exams at ease from the Play Store. This particular video, I'm going to discuss various aspects of the psychometric test for you, and I'm hoping that this is going to give you an idea as to how you could prepare for these exams. So without any delay, let's begin. So first things first, when you see this particular slide, the first thing that you see out here is people together, right? And I'm imagining this to be a corporate setup or a corporate environment. So people form the most important part in any sort of an organization. Reason being, it is people who drive the processes. So processes on their own have no meaning. It's only when there are people that these processes make sense, right? But just any kind of people help, that's not true. We have a need for effective people, people who know how to do their job, when to do their job, what are the skills that they need in order to do that job, and how to perform well. So everybody understands these aspects, and these are the things that qualify as effectivity. Any successful business is run by effective people. If you take examples of any of the companies that we have in India, be it a Reliance, be it a Tata, it's always because it is driven by effective people. Had these people not be driving the business, it wouldn't have been as successful, right? But now the question is, what makes them effective? If we are talking about a certain people being effective and a certain people not being effective, there must be a few reasons as to why this is happening. So definitely when it comes to people, there are a certain things that make them effective. What are they? We've been able to come up with two things that actually make people effective. The first is their personality. So each of us have an inborn trait, an inborn character, which forms a part of the personality. To give you a few examples of the same, let's assume that you are a person who always believes in getting to the why of any situation, and later on you convince people because you have yourself understood the why. Now your personality in general is to dig deep into systems, understand the why, and then convince others. So this personality is a very well suited personality for a sales role. Why? Because you understand the core of the product, you believe in the product, and that's why you can convince someone else to buy that product, right? At the same time, if there are a few people who have a very analytical personality, like you tell them that you have been invited for dinner, they're going to think in their heads, okay, how much time am I going to spend at dinner? How am I going to plan the rest of my day? What is it that I will get out of going to the dinner, etc.? So they are very analytical of every situation that they are in, right? Such analytical people can always be at strategic roles, at strategic planning roles. Reason being, they will always analyze the pros and cons of every situation. So personality forms a very, very important aspect of effectivity. And definitely, every job demands a different personality. Like for us as trainers who are into learning and development, who are into coaching, mentoring, etc., we need to have an in-depth patience to be able to listen to others. So if I am somebody who wants to give replies all the time, it'll be very difficult for me to be in this profession. Reason being, students will always come with their questions. So I have to be in a position to listen to them. Whereas for someone who is at a role where he just has to give orders, he does not have to take orders, he's on the end where he will give orders, then that person need not be a very, very good listener because he's on the giving end, not on the receiving end. That's one. Second aspect is what is our behavior, right? In general, how are we treating people? How are we behaving with people? And again, like I said, that each different job requires a different behavior, right? So, for example, when it comes to sales, there needs to be a very aggressive behavior. Salespeople need to be very aggressive in their job. Though aggressiveness may not be a very, very good quality otherwise, but in terms of doing a sales job, we look for candidates who are aggressive, right? But when you're looking at someone being a very good team player, then you do not want this person to be aggressive. You want this person to be assertive. So there are various aspects of our behavior also that we keep displaying at some time or the other. So this forms the core of who we are. And who we are decides whether we can make something work, what height of success that we can take it to, etc. So even now, if you see that the sort of leaders we have, all leaders are very different. Like we know Mr. Tata to be a very humble, someone who has a lot of humility, someone who's always there for his employees, and you see the entire organization is driven by those values, right? Whereas on the other hand, we have someone like Byju's, right? Extremely competitive, extremely solution oriented. They're always looking at how they could enter the market, what they could do. So if you see their entire strategy of sales is very, very aggressive. So these are the different concepts that I wanted to discuss with you. Now, coming to the fact that can we predict their behavior? Can we predict some aspects of their personality? Now, understand the selection process, boys and girls. How it works is first you give some sort of an aptitude exam, then you have a GD, then you have a PI. Now, let's assume that a personal interview is going on, right? Personal interview will have 2 to 3 questions where most of us are well prepared in advance for those questions, right? So, when you're well prepared in advance for those questions, they are manipulated to a certain extent, and none of us are 100% honest in any interviews. So, just via one talk, is it possible for someone to understand that what is the veracity of what we are saying? Are we saying the truth? Are we giving them correct facts, correct examples, etc.? So, some aspects of core personality or behavior also have to be assessed. And can we predict that, right? The answer is yes, you can do it. And that is where your psychometric assessments step in. So, psychometric assessments basically empower the organization to find things about you that they may not be able to find otherwise through the selection process, considering A, it is very limited. B, also understand the Indian landscape, boys and girls. Now, for one job application that you put up on LinkedIn or Monster or Naukri or in the newspaper, you will have a few lakh applicants, right? Few lakh CVs, few GDs, few PIs, right? Now, it's not possible for everyone to keep interacting with so many people to weed them out. Understand that the selection process, when it comes here, is very, very negative because we are trying to eliminate the not so good people to select the good people. That is the idea. The idea is not to select the good people. The idea is कि जो लोग अच्छे नहीं हैं उन्हें eliminate कर दो, उन्हें हटा दो. That's how it works, right? So psychometric assessments basically gives them an insight into your minds, into how you function, into how you work, right? So let's start discussing this. What is a psychometric test in the first place? So to answer your question, it is the scientific method of measuring the following, which is what are your cognitive innate abilities? What are the different attributes of your personality? Because personality will not have just one attribute, it has different attributes. And what are your behavioral styles? This is primarily going to define how you will be performing on the job. Believe me when I say it, that psychometric assessments, if not 100% sure shot model, are at least a 60% sure shot model of who you are as a person and how you can perform on the job. So when it comes to recruitment settings, psychometric tests are designed to measure whether this candidate is actually suitable for that particular role on the basis of his personality characteristics, aptitude, and cognitive ability. So putting all these together, is he a good match for this particular role? They identify the extent to which you match what they are looking for in the role and also for in the organization. Remember that when we are working in any organization, all of us have to keep in mind what the organizational goal is, and then we need to align our personal goal to the organizational goal. अब अगर organizational goal और हमारा goal एकदम उत्तर दक्षिण है, then definitely we are not a good fit for this organization, right? So this is exactly where your psychometric assessments step in. Now, when do we conduct a psychometric test? At which stage does it happen, right? So this is conducted very early in the selection process. So mostly after your aptitude exams, or for a few companies, even before your aptitude exams, you might have a psychometric assessment. Why is this done? Firstly, it's convenient because you need not get the entire process of recruitment, boys and girls, is very expensive because it starts with assessing your manpower need in the organization, communicating it to the concerned HR department. They are going to inform people of the vacancy. These people, once informed, will send your CVs, you shortlist the CVs, you do a telephonic call with them, you pass them on to the second round, third round, conduct tests, get them to a physical interview, etc. So this entire process is A, time consuming, B, also expensive because it involves movement. Now, in case of psychometric assessments, a lot of organizations will just share the link with you. It's an automated exam where you have questions, you have timers, and once you just finish the test, it's done. So you do not actually need to travel to that place to be able to sit for that particular interview, because for most companies, this is going to be an extra expense to sort of accommodate you in their physical space and get them to give you, a place where you could actually sit and give the exam. Next advantage is it's automatically scored, which makes it quick to receive result without any hassle. So this is not requiring any human intervention in the sense ki aisa nahi hai. For example, when an interview is happening, then there is one person on the other end who's listening to your answers and giving you some sort of scores or comments, etc. But in this case, it's a very automated process where your scores are allotted to you as soon as you've done, and there is no hassle, right? So you receive the results immediately, and you know whether you can move on to the next round or you cannot move on to the next round. They provide an initial sniff out of people who are fundamentally not a good fit for the role. So like I said that the reason why a few people perform well and a few people don't perform well when it is the same role is because of what their fundamental personality, what their core behavior, what their style is. So if at the initial stage only you have been able to understand कि भाई ये बंदा तो बिल्कुल भी अग्रेसिव नहीं है, तो ये सेल्स रोल के लिए ये फिट नहीं होगा, इसे ऑपरेशंस दे सकते हैं. So this mapping of candidates, like we say, we need the right person to do the right job at the right time. This can be basically done with the help of a psychometric assessment. Any psychometric assessment will help you provide your initial sniff out, where once people who are not fundamentally good for this particular role can be swept out. Now, what is the process of the psychometric test? Of course, if this is a test, this is going to have some sort of a process. What is the process of a psychometric exam? There are MCQ questions where you have 4 or 5 options, right? You will have situational judgment questions. You can have various visual perception tests, etc. So you have 4 to 5 options. How you need to decide how much time you should spend on each question is by dividing the total time in minutes by the number of questions. Now, typically, the idea of psychometric assessment is that they do not want you to have time to be able to think and manipulate your answer, क्योंकि हर आंसर ऑप्शन के लिए एक होता है सही जवाब जो आप है, और एक होता है आइडियल जवाब जो आप देना चाहेंगे, right? So they do not give you a lot of time so that you can think and put in the answer. They restrain your time so as to that whatever comes to your mind, you just stick that answer and move ahead, which is why for psychometric exams, you will always see the time is less if you're taking a lot of time to think about some particular question. Take a few practice tests to familiarize yourself with the test pattern. This is very, very important. Just the way you practice your aptitude exam, it's also important to be able to familiarize yourself with your psychometric test pattern. I will not say that patterns are mostly similar, but I will say that they will actually give you an idea to acclimatize yourself as to what sort of questions can be asked and how do you answer them. How are you scored in the psychometric test? So this is a very interesting way in which we are scored. First, you have, once you've completed your test, your results will be compared to a norm group. So norm group will basically be the number of people or the number of students or the number of graduates or the population that has taken this exam along with you, right? Your score will be translated into a percentile. So remember, percentage and percentile are different. So if you say you have scored 80%, means आपको 80 आया है out of 100, right? But when you say 80 percentile, it basically means that you have performed better than 80% of the entire group that sat for this exam. So percentage and percentile mein antar hai. Your score will be translated into a percentile, which is a way of comparing how you have performed to the other people in your group. That is the idea, that if there are other people in your group, we need to see how you have performed as compared to other people in the group. Percentile tells us what percentage of the population has scored better than you, you have scored better than. So the idea of percentile is if I am 72, means I have scored better than 72% in the entire group that has taken the exam. Now, what are the sample questions of a psychometric test? I thought I would pick up a few questions and I would show you what they are like. So if you see out here, it's the same question, but there are there are tweaked ways of asking the same question. And here there are 3 answer options, but there can be 4, 5, whichever way. So I prefer taking up task that really challenges me. Now, the tempting answer to this will be always. ये ideal answer है कि हाँ मुझे हमेशा अच्छा लगता है कि I get challenged. But maybe the real answer is that sometimes I like challenges. Other times I am okay to do what I'm expected to do. I do not like challenges all the time. I prefer taking up tasks that I'm sure of completing, right? So just different ways of asking the same thing. I never let people take advantage of me, right? I am a very smart person. I know what I'm here for, and I never let people take advantage for me. So that again, the tempting answer is always. But maybe the real answer is sometimes that happens because we tend to trust people. We tend to get emotional even at workplace. So we do let people take advantage of us, which may be unfair. Sometimes people take unfair advantage of me. Maybe sometimes, maybe never, maybe always that happens because I tend to believe people for what they are telling me. I am well aware of all the aspects I need to develop. I look up to others for help to identify my areas of development, right? So I want other people to help me and help me identify what my areas of development are. Or I'm a very self-aware person and I know what are my areas to develop. I try to make good impression in front of others. So you're always conscious of your image. You're always conscious of what you are saying, in whom, in front of whom you are saying. You want to always ensure that people think good about you. Yes. Or I feel comfortable being myself in the presence of others. So kabhi kisi ko agar bura lage to bhi lage, but this is who I am, right? So these are the different types of psychometric questions that you have. We wish you all the best. And of course, if there is any other help you need in terms of any other videos, please do let us know. Thank you and good luck.